Please rise for the Deputy Lord Mayor, Bruce Reynolds.
Thank you. Okay, good afternoon everyone and welcome to the City of Perth August 2025 agenda briefing session. I formally declare this session open at 5 p.m. and I'd respectfully like to acknowledge the traditional custodians on the land which we meet, the Whadjuk people of the Noongar Nation, and we pay our respects to elders past, present and emerging. It's a privilege to be standing on Whadjuk Noongar country. CEO, could you please recite the prayer?
Almighty God, under whose providence we hold responsibility for this city, grant us wisdom to understand its present needs, foresight to anticipate its future growth, and grace to serve our fellow citizens with integrity and selfless devotion. And to thee be all blessing and glory forever. Amen.
Amen. Please be seated. Just get yourself organised. Okay, please note that in accordance with the agenda briefing session terms of reference, this meeting is being publicly broadcasted and the recording will be available on the City's website following the meeting. Item 3 is attendance, apologies and leave of absence. We have in attendance today Councillor Bevan, Councillor Doshi, Councillor Gobbett, Councillor Gonsalves, Councillor Leeser, Councillor Wellard. We have not received any apologies. Councillor Victor Coe is currently on an approved leave of absence. We remind all councillors to please submit any applications for a leave of absence prior to next week's ordinary council meeting. In addition, I welcome the CEO and all our officers and the four members of public in attendance this afternoon. Can elected members please acknowledge they've had sufficient time to consider the agenda items presented this evening? All good, thank you. I'd also like to remind everyone to ensure appropriate concentration to this agenda briefing session to refrain from using your mobile phones with the exception of emergencies. In the event of an emergency, please pay attention to the directions given by the City of Perth staff. Item 4 is announcements by the Deputy Lord Mayor. I did not have any announcements today. Item 5 is disclosures of interest. CEO, have any disclosures been received?
Yes, Deputy Lord Mayor, the following interests have been disclosed. Councillor Catherine Leeser has disclosed an impartiality interest in item 11.1 as for consistency and completeness. She is a councillor on the Heritage Council of WA. Councillor Catherine Leeser has disclosed a direct financial interest in item 11.1 as her residence backs onto Hay Street, Perth. Councillor David Gonsalves has disclosed an impartiality interest in items 16.1, 16.2 and 16.4 as they have previously attended events hosted by Artrage, Perth Festival, Blue Room Theatre, Strut Dance and the Leicester Prize. Various employees and volunteers of these organisations are known to them. Brodie McCulloch of Space Cube is also known to them. Councillor Catherine Leeser has disclosed a proximity interest in item 16.4 as her residence is adjacent to the Government House, which is listed as the venue in this item. Stephen Wellard has identified a disclosure of interest in relation to 11.1 Hay Street Road Reserve, and it is a proximity interest as he has a residential rental property in the area. I own a property on Hay Street inside the area of focus. Councillor Clive Bevan has declared an interest in 16.1 major events and festivals. It's a direct financial interest and an impartiality interest. I, along with my wife, Leslie, attend a performance from the Perth Festival valued at just under $300. And a further disclosure of interest from Councillor Clyde Bevan in relation to 16.4 Arts and Culture Sponsorship 2025-26. It is a impartiality interest and it relates to Marina Hogan, the Leicester Prize for programming. I think I might have that wrong, Councillor, if you wanted to add. I have known Marina Hogan and her husband as they were restaurant customers for some 5 years, or 5 years ago. I have also been to an art exhibition that she attends. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, CEO. Can I just quickly get you to run past Steve Wellard again, just so I can quickly adjust my notes for his deputation? No, deputation. His interest.
Councillor Wellard has disclosed an interest in 11.1 Hay Street Road Reserve, and he has declared a proximity interest as he owns a property on Hay Street inside the area of focus.
Beautiful. Thank you very much. Are there any disclosures from the floor? Councillor.
Thank you, Deputy Lord Mayor. Impartiality on 16.1 for both Artrage and Perth Festival. I have attended events hosted by Artrage, and employees of Artrage are known to me. And I have also attended events held by the Perth Festival as the city's representative in accordance with the attendance at events policy, and no association has been informed. It represents an impartiality interest only. And a further impartiality interest on 16.4. I'm a member of the Blue Room, and secondly, I have attended events held by WA Opera, WA Ballet, WASO, the Leicester Prize, Scribblers Festival, as the city's representative in accordance with the attendance at events policy. No association has been formed and represents an impartiality interest only, and the Barking Gecko Chief Executive Officer, Ryan, is a personal friend of mine. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Doshi.
Thank you, through you, Presiding Member. I have an impartiality for 16.1 as I have attended the events like Councillor Gobbett, but also for 16.4, I am on the board of the Blue Room as a voluntary member, and it has been cleared by governance.
Okay, so that one would be an impartiality for 16.4.
Yes.
And 16.1. Sorry, guys, I'll just write these down. I'll probably make a mess of them, but we'll do our best. Doshi, Councillor Doshi, impartiality. So that would be a leave the chamber. Okey-doke, there we go. Oh, sorry, one more.
Yes, thank you,
Wellard.
Deputy Lord Mayor. I'd like to declare an impartiality interest in 16.1, as I have also attended funded events by Artrage.
All right. Okay, and we just note for the minute takers that Councillor Coe has just come into the room, and we also note that he does have a disclosure of interest that the CEO will read out.
The information I have before me is that Councillor Victor Coe has disclosed an impartiality interest in item 16.1, and details to be provided by Councillor Coe.
Okay, any further disclosures from the floor? Okay, sorry, Councillor Coe, do you have the details there to fill in?
Blank, did it? I do apologise. So I attended Perth Festival back in May. That's impartiality.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate that. Okay. Item 6, which is public participation. 6.1, public questions. We move on to item 6 and 6.1. Public question time will be held at the ordinary council meeting for next week. Item 6.2 is deputations. CEO, are there any deputations?
Yes, Deputy Lord Mayor, one deputation has been received in relation to item 16.1, major events and festival sponsorship 2025-26, speaking for the officer's recommendation, and one deputation has been received in relation to item 16.4, arts and culture sponsorship 2025-2026, speaking against the officer's recommendation.
Okay, thank you very much for that, CEO. Just a quick, bless you. Just a quick reminder, there's a 5-minute limit for deputations, and I would like to invite Anna Rees, representing Perth Festival, who's speaking for the recommendation in 16.1, to please come forward. And then with that one, okay, so Councillor Bevan would have to remove himself. Yep, so Councillor Bevan will have to ask you to leave the chamber, and Councillor Lees, is that proximity? Is okay? Right, perfect. And we'll just wait for that one. Okay. Hello, Anna.
Hello.
Nice to see you.
I'll kick off. Deputy Lord Mayor, elected members and City of Perth Executive, thank you for your attention and your consideration of my deputation tonight. It's always an honour to be able to share our passion for arts and culture in this city with you all. I firstly want to acknowledge the recommendation to Council to increase funding partially for the new financial year. The ongoing support, both financially and through in-kind means for Perth Festival from the city, is critical in enabling Perth Festival to grow in scale and in impact. Last year in 2025 was my first year as Artistic Director for the festival. It's also the first time that Perth Festival in its 70-plus history has engaged a Western Australian to lead the festival creatively. We were really proud that the 2025 festival engaged the largest attendance we have had since pre-COVID years, and also critically, this festival engaged our youngest and our most diverse audience ever, which was something we very much actively set out to achieve, and of course is very important in building audiences, nourishing future artists, and enriching this cultural landscape for Perth. It has been an interesting time, of course, given the amazing and very critical developments for the city, losing the Perth Concert Hall for the next few years under my tenure, the really important, exciting works that are taking place in the Perth Cultural Centre. And I think part of that has led to this commitment, artistically, but also strategically, to ensure that Perth Festival is showcasing and shining a light on extraordinary new places and spaces in our city. A great success story for us was bringing the Perth Town Hall back to life in one way, really showing what the festival is capable of and how we can really bring imagination and cultural innovation into spaces like that. And we were truly thrilled with the outcome of the Embassy. The Embassy is returning next year. And of course, in the future years, it remains a pillar for Perth Festival that we very much hope to grow. I just wanted to make a couple of comments about Perth Festival in relation to our commitment, of course, to always trying to grow attendance in the city itself. It's absolutely a goal of ours. There are some challenges in that with the current works that are happening within the city itself. I think it's really safe to say and to commit that if there's any public space in the centre of the city that we can move into, we will always find a way. We're really thrilled that over 60% of the Perth Festival program is free. Our commitment is open and access. We really want people to engage with our city and with arts in our city before they need to even consider buying a ticket. One of the things I wanted to raise, for your consideration is, as well as bringing people into the city itself, I think one of the things that Perth Festival does is we also take Perth to the world. We play a significant role in brand building for this city. We are very excited to work with the City of Perth and with other organisations like Tourism WA, for example, to really celebrate and show off the fact that our city, this is an international city of culture. So yes, as well as our mandate and our commitment to bringing audiences into the city, I think it's also just worth reiterating what we do internationally, nationally and locally for the brand of this city of Perth. We're really excited, for example, to show off it's a wonderful online cultural engagement that has millions of followers internationally. It's a new thing for Perth Festival to do, to kind of create work in a digital realm, but I won't share more of it in detail right now, but the fact that we are creating work that will showcase our bridges, our city, the most incredible landscapes and sites that we have to offer here, to something that already has such an extraordinary following, puts Perth more on the map, and that's what we're also committed to. I don't think I have too much more to say. It's just to thank you for your time, thank you for your consideration, to consider, as well as attendance, the role that we play. I think it's important to remember that Perth Festival is entirely curated, that every piece of art, every venue, every pop-up site is fully covered by our budgets, thanks to our partners. All of our artists are paid. And we play a significant role in developing and nurturing independent artists, as well as working with our existing arts organisations to enable them to get into an international festival. I'm very, very proud of this festival. I'm very, very proud of the role it plays for this city. And I cannot reiterate how important it is how important it is for us to have an ongoing and strategic relationship with the city. It's certainly our preference to not move from a year-on, year-off relationship, but to build with you strategically so we have a shared vision for the city. And again, how can we ensure that we make it an international city of culture together? Thank you.
Alrighty, thank you very much for that, Anna. And I will take the chance to congratulate you on an amazing season and also the challenges that the creative community was able to embrace and deal with, and so artistically, in a lot of ways, it was a real development of the festival. It was fantastic to see how we were able to do that.
Thank you.
Do we have any questions in relation to this deputation from the floor? No. Alrighty. Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you for your time.
We can. Could someone grab Councillor Bevan, please? And does Councillor East have to? No. But she does. Welcome back, Councillor Bevan. I'd like to now invite Mrs. Kelsa, representing the Blue Room Theatre, who are speaking against the recommendation in 16 forward, to please come forward. And I'd also like to ask Councillor Leeser if she could momentarily leave the chamber. Thank you. Nice to see you. How are you?
Good. You have better microphones than the Blue Room Theatre. I can hear my own breath. It's beautiful.
Sounds tinny from this end.
Oh my God,
so
I want
there
to
you
start
go. We'll take that
singing in
on.
here. So I'm a performer and I don't like writing notes, but today I have written notes, so I'm not going to make eye contact with all of you, but I do see you and I do want to thank you for your time and thank you for your membership. So my name is Sukhjit Kaur Khalsa. And I'm here on the behalf of the Blue Room Theatre to firstly express my gratitude to the City of Perth for your ongoing support and for independent arts and culture. Your investment enables us to be a vital platform for artists, audiences and innovation in the heart of this city, my city. We appreciate the panel's recommendation of $70,000 per year for a 3-year sponsorship, and we recognise the challenges of a competitive funding environment. That support gives us much needed stability, so I really, really want to value that, and thank you for that. However, I respectfully am here today to ask Council to consider a gradual increase in years 2 and 3 of our funding. I've written a little recommendation, but I'm sure that you all might have some thoughts about this. So a $70,000 for year 1, a $80,000 for year 2, and a $90,000 for 2028 in year 3, in recognition for both our proven growth and our ambitious yet achievable vision for the future. So there's a few key reasons that I want to go through of why this increased investment would be timely and strategic. So firstly, the CPI and economic cost increase. Like many arts organisations, we're experiencing significant cost pressures. Operational, staffing and programming costs have risen sharply post-COVID. A fixed amount across 3 years just does not reflect the reality of inflation and the cost of delivering high-quality arts experiences. Secondly, strategic growth and increased foot traffic. Now, we all know that Whopper's moving in, and they're moving in pretty fast. So their relocation to the Perth CBD in early 2026 means that the Blue Room Theatre is positioned itself as a natural student hub, particularly in the development of our upstairs bar into a welcoming, curated space for student engagement. This proximity will significantly increase our foot traffic and attendance numbers. Thirdly, audience impact and economic return. In 2024, our free programming alone attracted over 12,000 attendees, and that's massive for a small organisation. By 2026, that number is projected to grow to 14,000. More importantly, our 2024 surveys showed that the average attendee spent $54.40 per visit to the city on dining, drinks, and experiencing surrounding their theatre experience. This equates to $1.3 million annually, injected directly into the local economy by our audiences, nearly $4 million over 3 years of your investment. Compared to this, our request of $100,000 per year in the application, or $300,000 total, is a modest investment with a substantial, measurable economic and social return. And lastly, we've got a proven track record and a new vision. The Blue Room Theatre has historically applied for around 60 to 65K a year. Under my leadership over the last 2 years, we've entered a new chapter, marked by growth in our partnerships, expanded programming, the most diversity we've ever seen before, and an increase of visibility. Ambition brings impact, but it also brings costs. This growth is intentional and strategic, and we're working closely with food and beverage partners throughout the city of Perth to build deeper relationships that serve both our audiences and the local economy. Now, I've got a couple more, but I'm not going to go through them. It's a lot of talking. So lastly, I'm just going to end with, we're not just asking for more, we're demonstrating why more will deliver greater outcomes, increased attendance, stronger economic impact, enhanced cultural vibrancy, and a more inclusive, accessible city for residents and visitors alike. To conclude, we're asking the Council to consider a gradual increase from 2026 to 2027 to 2028. To align with our projected growth, economic contributions, and the rising costs to deliver a high-impact arts programming. Thank you so much for your time, your vision, and your continued commitment to a thriving cultural city.
Alrighty, well, thank you very much. That was very well said and some very good arguments there. I'll just throw to the floor and see if there's any questions from the floor. Councillor Doshi.
Thank you so much for that deputation. I just wanted to ask, how does the Blue Room stand out in terms of theatre in Perth compared to other theatres that are here, please?
Well, we're actually the only independent theatre with a venue that's left in WA, but also Australia-wide. So we're funded federally, we're funded by the state, we're also funded by the city to exist. But there is a sense of urgency because organisations like us aren't existing anymore. We see them shutting down, shutting their doors because they simply just cannot keep going. And something I was joking with our finance manager today was, I've come into the organisation when it's been at the most financially tough budgets, and I've learnt how to operate on like the tiniest amount. So doing an event, for example, on a $500 budget, having 600 people attend, and that's mainly on catering, and then food runs out and they look at me. And I can't wait to finally grow the Blue Room into a financially stable organisation that not only continues and survives, but it also can thrive. And as an executive director that's operated on such a small budget, I can't wait to make that money move and make us, significant and to be also nationally recognised. Independent artists, if you had a food chain, they're little anchovies. They get eaten alive by everything. And we have to thank colleagues like Perth Festival who've only recently started, really with Anna's leadership, recently started getting involved in the independent scene and helping us, connect in with bigger orgs as well. And that's why we do partner with the Black Swan State Theatre Company. Everyone has a role to play, and so do we, but we sometimes get a bit forgotten.
Okay, thank you. I do have a quick question for the administration. So if we were to sign this off as is, will the organisation have an opportunity to reapply next year, or is it something we will need to decide in the next meeting?
Could I invite the General Manager, Activation and Events to respond, or if you would prefer to ask the General Manager, Community Development, but I think because it's a grant, over to you.
Through you, Deputy Lord Mayor, I might have to take that on notice
Right,
and
no
get
problem.
back to you on that.
Yeah,
if
that'd
that's
be
okay.
that'd be appreciated, just so we can know which way we can move if we need to. Alrighty, any other questions? Councillor Wellard.
Thank you very much through yourself, Deputy Lord Mayor. Look, thank you very much for your deputation. It was fantastic. I love the passion that is, of course, coming across. You truly are a great performer. I'm just a little bit, just want to confirm exactly what the ask is. The funding from the city for the previous years was roughly $60,000. There seems to be an acknowledgement there for us to take that up by $10,000 to $70,000. But what is your request for years 2 and 3 of this agreement?
I wrote a draft and it appears to...
Could you turn the microphone?
Sorry. Hello.
You press the button on that.
Thank you. For years 1, we've got 70, and then the request is in years 2 to go to 80 and years 3 to go to 90. The original request was 100 across times by 3, so 300,000 over 3 years. But I do recognise that after looking at all the other organisations that got funded, that might have been quite ambitious. And something I want to note about ambition is that sometimes people don't know they can ask for more. And that's been my life experience, but also at the Blue Room. Sometimes people just settle. They keep applying for 60. It used to be 65 a while ago. Maybe the tiers have changed since. And I think one of the biggest barriers of why people didn't even consider previous staff to actually apply for more was because they never thought they were eligible for the 3rd tier. And after accurately, recording our data of our attendance and getting staff really onto that, that's what's even got us into this next tier, which is 70, which is amazing. And it really opens up doors. So I know that from your perspective, it might seem like, oh my God, it's going from like 60 to 100. She's ambitious. But I also think that it's good to ask. And it's okay if the answer ends up being no, but it's good to be honest and upfront about the situation we're in. And I guess we do want to get more involved with the City of Perth as much as we can.
Thanks for your answer. Thank
Also,
you.
I lived in Wellard for 10 years. So I love your name. It reminds me of my suburb.
I'll keep it coming. Keep it coming. Thank you, Deputy Lord Mayor.
Thank you. Anyone else for any other further questions? Councillor Gottsalves.
Thanks. You spoke there about ambition, and I note that on page 230, there's mention there about a high level of consideration has been given to the diversity and inclusion that you bring, and that you've got a strong representation there of diverse artists from our LGBTIQA+ community, as well as culturally and linguistically diverse groups. So I'm wondering, with that aspect of ambition being the only independent theatre, and then from this aspect of being able to tap in and create partnerships with community sectors and groups that would otherwise find it hard, what would that increased funding provide for you? Where would you go with that to grow that sector?
Thank you so much for bringing that up. I always get so worried to talk about diversity because it can either trigger people or make people very excited. But my role is to make diversity as sexy as possible, because the arts has benefited me so much. It's given me a voice as a poet. I went on Australia's Got Talent when I was 21, and I really am thankful for the performing arts for the career that I've had. But when I was 21, my rent was very cheap. I'm now 31, and the cost of living, it was a different world. So independent theatre, people did it for the love. People did it not for the money, not for the ticket sales, but to grow, to get feedback from audiences. And I think when we look at diverse communities who are underrepresented, but they're also marginalised in society, and economically, if I'm trying to, my partner's First Nations, if I'm trying to get his nephew to do a 1-year AB theatre course at Whopper and then get him to come to the Blue Room and put on a show, he's earning $200K in a mining job. I can't get him to come to the arts. So hopefully with a slight increase and a really refresh of a strategic plan to rethink the current economic environment, I think that there's a massive link between cultural communities, LGBT, queer spaces, but also money. They need the money and the extra things that people don't think about, like I've now got new lines in my budget that we've never had to consider in the past. And there's no shade on anyone before me, but it's just things that, like access costs. Most of my casual staff, they've either got wheelchairs, they've got mobility issues, which also extends to artists who are rehearsing, and they've got extra things like people have now started doing audio described performances, which is so great. There's so many more things we could do, but it costs things, There's only so much free labour I can request from people. I think it's time to start paying a bit more. So the last thing I'll say is you get a seed fund as a Blue Room. If you get selected to be in the Blue Room program, you get $2,500. It used to be $2,000. Now it's $2,500. And that's just to get you started. And then people apply for funding, like up to 15, 90, depending on how big their cast is. They try to fund it all.
Very impressive, though. Just one quick question. The 24-25, 60,000 up to 70,000. Could you start the CEO what the implications are on that alteration?
If I could invite the General Manager of Events and Activation to respond to that, please. I think just to reframe the question a little bit. So last year the funding was 60,000. It's proposed to do a 3-year 70,000, and the proponents are suggesting that be increased by 10,000 every year, so 70, 80 and then 90. Would you mind just explaining any implications, please?
Yeah, sure. Through you, Deputy Lord Mayor, and certainly not taking anything away from the Blue Room application. It was an incredibly competitive field, and the independent assessment panel went through all the applications thoroughly. If the application was to be increased, the funding pool is exhausted for the packages, so we would need to take money out of another applicant if it was done.
Okay, thank you. Okay, any further questions? Thank you very much, and you've given us the 2015 Australia's Got Talent thing to Google now later this afternoon, so I can't wait to check that out. Great to see you and a fantastic deputation. Moving to items 7 through to 10, which will be dealt in the ordinary council meeting next week. That'll be the confirmation of minutes. It's all right. I'll get to that one sec. Confirmation of minutes, questions by members with due notice to be given. Item 9, correspondence, and item 10, which are petitions. Item 11 is the Planning and Sustainability Alliance report. 11.1 is the draft Hay Street Road Reserve widening local planning policy. Councillor Gonsalves? No, sorry, mate. We just, the next one you're, yep. So I was getting to that one. Okay, so Councillor Leeser does have a direct financial interest in and an impartiality, so she will just remain outside for this one. With the item, do we have any questions from the floor? Councillor Wellard, you have 3 questions. Have they been answered to your satisfaction?
Thank you, Deputy Lord Mayor. Yes, they have been answered to my satisfaction.
Thank you very much. Any further questions? Okay, in that case, we can move through to 11.2, and if someone could ask Councillor Leeser to please join us again. Sorry, Councillor Leeser, it's just your direct financial on 11.1 butted straight into the last one, so that's why we let you out there for that one. 11.2, submission on draft positioning statement, the purpose-built student accommodation. There have been no questions received on notice. Are there any questions from the floor? No, thank you. We can move along. Item 12 is the Community Development Alliance reports. There are no reports for item 12, nor item 13 and 14. Item 13 is the Infrastructure and Operations Alliance reports, and item 14 is the Commercial Service Alliance reports. Item 15.1 is the interim monthly financial statements for June 2025. There have been no questions received on notice. Are there any questions from the floor? No, thank you. Item 15.2, schedule of accounts paid for June 2025. There have been no questions received with notice. Are there any questions from the floor? No, we can move on. 15.3 is review of Council Policy 2.2, purchasing. There have been no questions received with notice. Are there any questions from the floor? Okay. Item 16.1 is the Engagement and Activation Alliance reports. 16.1 is major events and festival sponsorships for 2025/2026. Councillor Victor Coe has an impartiality. Councillor Gonsalves has an impartiality. Councillor Gobbett has declared an impartiality. Councillor Wellard has declared an impartiality. Councillor Doshi has declared an impartiality. And Councillor Bevan has declared a financial interest, and he will be required to leave the chamber. If there are any questions. There are some questions with notice. Councillor Lizard, 1, and Councillor Wellard, 2. Have those been answered to your satisfaction, councillors?
Yes, thank you, Deputy Lord Mayor. They have.
Any
Thank you.
questions from the floor? All right, you can stay. Okay, item 16.2 is the Economic Development Sponsorship 25/26. There is an impartiality by Councillor Gonsalves. There have been no questions received with notice. Are there any questions from the floor? Nope. Item 16.3 is event strategy. We've had one question with notice from Councillor Wellard. Councillor Wellard, you satisfied?
Yes, Deputy Lord Mayor, that question has been answered to my satisfaction. Thank you.
Beautiful, thank you. Any further questions? No questions from the floor. 16.4 is the Arts and Culture Sponsorship for 25/26. Councillor Catherine Elisa has a proximity interest. Councillor Elisa will be required, if there are questions, to leave the chamber. Councillor Gobbett has an impartiality. Councillor Bevan has an impartiality. And Councillor Doshi has an impartiality. And Councillor Gonsalves has an impartiality. Are there any questions from the floor? Councillor Doshi, sorry, Councillor Lisa, you might just have to step out for 1 second. Councillor Doshi.
Thank you, through you, presiding member. It's a question around page 222, attachment A. I just have a question around reference D, head-on foundation, head-on photo festival. So I read up on this, and it's a festival that's based on the eastern states that I believe is a new applicant here but coming to Perth for the first time. I just wanted to ask the administration, based on the estimated attendance on this chart and the funding request and the amount that's been recommended, how does that work in terms of a new applicant getting that amount in comparison to other applicants who've been in this a little bit longer and don't get as much, but potentially their estimated attendance is higher? Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for the question. I'll just double check the CEO that we've got all that.
Can we, unless the General Manager Engagement and Activation nods differently, I would recommend we take that on notice. Thank you.
All right, terrific. Any other questions from the floor? No? Okay, in that case, I'll just double check the next page to see. Yep, that's fine. Can someone please invite Councillor Lisa to come back into chamber? Okay, welcome back. Item 17 is the Chief Executive Officer's Alliance report. There are no reports submitted. Item 18 is committee reports. There are no supports submitted. Item 19 is the motions for which notice has been given. Item 19.1 is the public art in public spaces mural on available blank walls, particularly under freeway overpasses. Councillor Lisa has a question with notice. Councillor Lisa, has that been answered to your satisfaction? Okay, thank you. Are there any other questions on this one from the floor? Got a question?
Yes, thank you, Deputy Lord Mayor. In my paper, I mentioned there's 21,000 cars go under the freeway. I took that from one of the speeches that you gave, Deputy Lord Mayor. I'd just like to know how accurate that was.
Yes, that was the information that was given to me during a media interview with 6PR. So that's where I got it from. I got it from administration. To be honest, I didn't double check it, but I'm assuming it's correct. You can go onto the Main Roads website. There is a downloadable. You can download it. It's probably not downloadable anymore. It's probably just something you put in the street, and that'll give you individual street usage via car numbers per day. If you want to double check that one.
I have another question, if I may.
Sorry, just quickly, I think, did you have... Yeah, I think CEO might have wanted to jump in on that one.
Thank you very much, Deputy Lord Mayor. I think the 21,000, if I have this correct, might be in relation to Bidea Drive. That was a figure that was provided as part of the PCEC paper. 21,000 cars do drive along Bidea Drive.
Yeah, so that's right. So in that, we were talking about the redirection of 21,000 cars onto Mounts Bay Road. So you'd probably find that Mounts Bay Road would have probably not quite as many as 21,000. It would be up there. But it's going to potentially have 21,000 plus.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I hear that. And my next question is, when was the freeway extensions finished? Because I asked this question because that's why it's been looking the way it has for such a long time. and it happened since they did the new works on the freeway. So when was that completed?
Fair question. Through to the CEO.
If we could take that on notice, councillor, thank you.
Any other questions? Councillor Doshi.
Thank you, through you, presiding member. Can I ask the administration if they've at any point had any engagement with Main Roads in regards to this particular item, based on the fact that some of these assets don't belong to us?
Yeah, sure. Through to the CEO.
If I could invite the General Manager, Infrastructure and Operations to respond, please.
Thank you. Through you, Deputy Lord Mayor. No, I don't believe any conversations have happened with Main Roads at this time.
Thank you. Any follow-up questions? No? Okay, thank you. Thank you very much for the motion. 19.2 is the notice of motion for the CCTV reimbursement scheme. Councillor Leeser has had 2 questions with notice. Councillor Leeser, have those questions been answered to your satisfaction? Thank you. Any further questions? Councillor Doshi.
Thank you, through you, presiding member. My question is to the administration. With regards to CCTV, have we looked at any potential risks in terms of cameras and us funding and supporting a project like this and privacy acts, etc., etc.? Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Through to the CEO.
Thank you very much for the question. If I could invite the General Manager, Community Development to respond, please.
Yes, thank you for the question, and through you, Deputy Lord Mayor. There's been some very preliminary assessment that would really need to form part of the overall investigation of the guidelines and so forth to establish the program. But there would need to be some adherence to relevant legislation.
Thank you. Any further questions? Yep, Councillor Gonzalez.
On page 252, there's a note there that the annual budget could support a maximum of 200 ratepayers through reimbursement in a standard and concession stream until the budget is exhausted. How do we ensure that, if there's only 200 households, that there's an equitable distribution of such grant to make sure that it's equitable in terms of the type of households, the type of building, the neighbourhoods which it might be allocated, and of course whether the applicant itself has the financial means or otherwise to do so anyway.
Okay, thank you very much. Through to the CEO.
If I could invite the General Manager, Community Development to respond, please.
Yes, thank you, and through you, Deputy Lord Mayor. Councillor, those figures are in the reasons provided by Councillor Gobbett, who put forward this notice of motion. The actual applicability and how far a budget would need to go would really need to be considered as part of the investigation that would be undertaken should this notice of motion pass.
Any further questions? Okay, thank you very much. Through to 19.3, which is notice of motion for Totterodell Park Safety and Lighting. There have been no questions received with notice. Are there any questions from the floor? No. Thank you. Item 19.4 is the notice of motion for the street parking fee waiver program. There have been no questions received on notice. Are there any questions from the floor? Councillor Doshi.
Through you, presiding member. My question is for the administration. In terms of the street parking fee waiver voucher, do you see any risks in how easy or hard this would be to police in terms of people not adhering to the rules and getting the vouchers for the wrong reasons?
Thank you. Through to the CEO.
If I could invite the General Manager, Commercial Services to respond, please.
Through you, Deputy Lord Mayor. Yeah, it will provide challenges to ensure that those vouchers would only be provided to tradespeople and, for example, not to visitors. I think it's going to be almost impossible to police that.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions? Councillor Leeser.
Thank you, presiding member. I think the question really is around if this is for street parking and we have mostly 15-minute and hour bays, how do we ensure that the tradespeople aren't overstaying in one of those bays? It's about the timing, really.
Thank you. Through to the CEO.
And if the General Manager Commercial has a response, just not 100% certain, there was a question there.
Sorry, let me clarify it. So we know some of the street parking's for 15 minutes, some's for an hour, some's for 2 hours, some for 3 hours. Is the voucher just going to be one lot of 15 minutes or one lot of 30 minutes or one lot of 1 hour? Or is it designed to be multiple hours where normally you wouldn't allow a car to do that?
Okay, thank you. Through to the CEO.
And through to the General Manager Commercial.
I think if I've understood the question correctly, so the proposed voucher system or program would typically lend itself to sort of half or a full day for a tradesperson to attend. The administration will be putting up a slightly different proposal as another potential, which may mean that it's for shorter durations that could be managed potentially through the digital payment app, which is the Easy Park.
Okay, no problem. Any further questions on that item? Okay, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we now move through to item 20, which are matters for which the meeting may be closed. Items 20.1, .2, 20.3, 20.4 and 20.5 are designated confidential in accordance with section 5.23, bracket 2, bracket C and 5.23, bracket 2, bracket E of the Local Government Act of 1995. If any councillors have any questions relating these items, we'll need to move behind closed doors and pause the live stream. Are there any questions from the floor on any of those items? No? Okay, well that's pretty straightforward. Thank you. 20.1, 20.2, 20.3, 20.4. 20.5. Okay, moving through to item 21, which is urgent business. There will be no items presented and any would be dealt with in an ordinary council meeting. Item 22 is closure. There being no further business, I now declare the agenda briefing session closed at 5:46 p.m. Thank you all for your attendance. Thank you for your contribution. Thank you.
Thank you. Please.